Hello everyone, it's Dark7. Today we are playing IZZET PROWESS. New card, Cori-Steel Cutter is one of the best cards from Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's absolutely insane in PROWESS. It's so easy to trigger it every turn, and it's better in IZZET with cards like Consider Expressive Iteration. Okay, so in this build we also have Faithless looting Arclight Phoenix. I already showed you this list in the last murktide video. Shortly after, a few days after, I start seeing results in top 8 challenges. Now even won the showcase the qualifier. Not this deck, but very similar deck, not playing all these cards, but only not playing Arclight Phoenix and Faithless looting. Instead, people are playing 2 Unholy Heats, 2 land, 2 Bedlam Revelers, and 2 Unholy Heat in the main. Did I say Unholy Heat twice? Okay, so some changes, but I still like this variant a lot with Arclight Phoenix and Faithless looting. I will tell why later. Okay, so I posted this deck like last week, and I'm not sure if it's related, but after that I start seeing the Prowess and a lot of Prowess lists in the challenges doing well. Okay, so I don't have a consign in the sideboard, as you may notice, but I'm definitely keeping it in mind. And but when I was playing against Eldrazi, the matchup felt so good that consign seemed like an overkill in the sideboard. But definitely I'm keeping it in mind. It's definitely a great card to bring in. I valued Spell Pierce more as a piece because I started seeing a lot of Storm in the league, so I wanted like have a couple of Spell Pierce in the sideboard for Storm and like some Graveyard Hate, and the deck is just very quick. But I think you could easily play both Spell Pierce and Consign. I see the list that did well in Challenge play 4 Consign, but that is because they didn't have looting and they didn't have Phoenix, and because of that they play less creatures. They're slower, digging more with more relying on Cori-Steel Cutter, no Phoenix, less explosive turns, which means worse Eldrazi matchup. And then they are playing a 4 Consign to Memory, which makes sense. They have access to blue, they are pretty quick, have a good Eldrazi matchup, and with 4 Consigns to Memory in the sideboard, there's just absolutely no chance for Eldrazi or New Ugin to win against that deck. So maybe that was the appeal, but I still like this version a lot. Faithless looting is obviously broken card, works great with entire deck, the Phoenix, the Lava Darts, the Channelers, so it makes everything easy, and it can be played from the graveyard and can be used well later to trigger like Cori-Steel Cutter. Often you will draw like Mishra Bubble or Consider, and you will go or you will draw just a random card, and you will replay the Faithless looting from the sideboard for 3 mana, leave Bubble or Consider or Bolt in your hand, whatever, or just discard Lava Dart and replay Lava Dart from graveyard and trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter and get the needed 2 spells and the prowess to kill opponent on the same turn. I think because of all that, Faithless looting plays so well in the deck, and once you play the Faithless looting, you have to play Arclight Phoenix as well. I think the other list is great as well. So if you drop the Phoenix and Faithless looting and add some more interaction, I think it can also be well good. Oh, the people is playing the blue talent, the 1 mana talent card. I saw that people trying that, like 2 Holy Heats, 2 more lands. If you don't have Faithless looting, you definitely need a few more lands. I'm not sure if 16 is too low for this build. 17 could be the right number, but I wanted to start like all 4 ops like this, then for a few leagues, then try to think what is the card that I would maybe go down on to add the 17 land. And I really liked all cards. I have Considers, I have Bubbles, I have Faithless looting and DRC, so many cards that allow you to dig more, to find that second land, and then you have Iteration, Manamorphose, help you finding that third land, and it all kind of works great if you keep a decent starting hand with 1 or 2 lands and some way to dig for more, it usually ends up very well. Okay, so as I said, Consigned seem as an overkill, but it's still such a good card. I would definitely recommend playing it if it's required in your metagame. So for that you can, there is a lot of cards you can drop here. Dismember if you don't expect Ketramos. Meltdowns were great. I'm really happy with the meltdowns. So Blood Moons if you don't expect like a Zoo or I don't know, like 4-color control or Omna decks, or 3-color control aggro decks. So Blood Moon is good in that situation, not greatest against Eldrazi, but as I said, that matchup is good. So you may drop, I think you may drop easily, very easily Moon for consigns. If you want all 4 consigns, it's definitely manageable as well. Okay, so there's that. I think we can go now to the gameplay. I think these are 2 great variants. I think you should consider both. So the version that did great in challenges, I think it's good. It plays the blue talent, which I'm kind of skeptic about. I don't really like the card, but it's fine. And the 2 heat in the main, I think I have it in the sideboard. It's always good choice. And 2 more lands if you don't play looting, I think that is also required. So these are all the logical changes. If you're dropping these 8 cards, these are just the logical changes. And they also played 2 Bedroom Revelers, which I think are kind of like fun pieces. Can be good, can be bad. And yeah, of course, I love the Reveler. I really enjoy playing it. So definitely there's that. But there is also this version with looting and Phoenix that did so well for me, and I think the visibility of that version is also very high already because of the results in the challenge. I think it's great to show people there's another variant very similar but also plays a bit different, that maybe even better than the one, maybe worse. Hard to tell still, but I think this has a lot of potential. Very, very aggressive build with a great Eldrazi matchup. So, okay, I think Eldrazi matchup was so good with this version with Arclight Phoenix. I thought like playing Consign is just overkill. So, but definitely, if you're playing against a lot of Eldrazi all the time, it's great to have some Consigns in the sideboard, even if it's good matchup, because you just want to crush it every time you see it. Okay, so there's that. I think we can go to the gameplay and see how it went. Okay, here it is. Okay, I had to mulligan this, no lands. Here is a pretty good one-lander. I have Consider, I have Bubble, I have Looting, I have Dart in hand, which is always a decent card to discard. So I start with Bubble, see the top of my library. If it's not a land, I can crack immediately, go for Consider. So I have Bolt on top. I think I want to go for Steam Vents immediately. So I go for the Steam Vents and immediately go... I can hold the Lava Dart, of course, but I think I want to Consider immediately. Now I'm digging a lot of cards, and when I untap, I also have Faithless Looting. All in all, I think pretty capable one-lander hand. Sometimes these type of hands won't work, but I think I think it's totally fine to keep stuff like that. I discard Phoenix, I discard Lava Dart, a great situation. So if I draw land from the top, I will be in a very strong position. I can go Mana Morphose, draw, Bolt, trigger Phoenix, and start hitting my opponent pretty hard. Okay, so my opponent graveyards Mountain, plays another fetch, and goes for a second mountain. So when you see second mountain, you know you're playing against a Storm. Energy does not play 2 mountains. So my opponent goes for a Ruby Medallion, and I did not draw the land I needed. So kind of game over. Game over for me. I had a lot of cards here I could dig, and what I wanted to have for this matchup are definitely the 2 Pierces and some Graveyard Hate. That's all I have here. And just trying to be aggressive, win as fast as possible with a minimal interaction, dropping the slower cards, and just dropping 1 Lava Dart and going into game 2. Okay, so here I have Soul Guide Lantern, which is good against them, slows them down just enough that allows me to kill them fast, but I can't really keep two Phoenix in hand without way to discard it, so I go to mulligan this one, find a decent 6 cards. Here I have both Lantern and Pierce, and I have Cori-Steel Cutter plus Spear, 2 good cards to pressure my opponent with. So I think this is pretty good. So ideally I would draw a Mishra Bubble here, but even without it, it's a pretty good, looking pretty good for me. I can just play the Cori-Steel Cutter, then start to trigger it from turn 3, and it will be a lot of pressure for my opponent either way. Okay, so I think this turn I just want to put Cori-Steel Cutter on the field. Next turn untap and hold blue mana for Spell Pierce, and in addition to that try to double spell with a Lantern and something else. Here I go attack for 2 with Swiss Spear. Pass the turn. Okay, so the Storm is gaining popularity, and it's not just the classic versions. I see a lot of those versions playing the new Dragonstorm card. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so I go for Faithless Looting, start with Faithless Looting in this situation. Ideally, I would find a third land here. Okay, so I go draw 2. I can discard, I want to keep, I have to keep Lantern plus Pierce, so, and I also want a land to trigger a Cori here, so there is no much choice. I have to discard Dart and Swiss Spear, so these two go, and I play the Lantern, make a token, and attack for 5, so pretty decent. I have Soul Guide here on the field, making life hard for the opponent, and holding Spell Pierce, looking pretty good. Attacking for 5, opponent plays Ral. They already have a Ruby Medallion on the field, so also interesting situation. Opponent goes for Vren's Resolve. I decide to immediately counter this. I think in this situation I don't want to allow them access to 2 more cards. That is more triggers for Ral, and in this situation with just 1 mana they have to have Ritual into another Vren's Resolve, something like that, which seems pretty hard. And okay, so they do have Ritual here, but they only have 3 more cards in hand. I think countering Vren's Resolve, cutting access to 2 more cards is pretty good. Okay, they go for Dark Ritual only to play and just another draw spell, and they did not find what they were looking for, which is what I expected. Okay, so they pass a turn in this situation, and just play a land, pass a turn, looking good for me. So here is the situation I was talking about, why I liked Faithless Looting with Cori. So this is so good. This is so good. So I'm in my hand is dead, I don't have anything good, but I have Looting and Dart in the yard, and that is enough. I don't need anything else. I can also keep what I draw for the next turn. I don't have to even use cards from my hand, so I just go Faithless Looting, draw 2, that is the first spell. I trigger Prowess. Now I can choose what I discard. I can keep Bolt if I need it to kill next turn, or I can use the bubble to immediately trigger my Monk tokens. That is a great situation. I want to trigger them with bubble, and here I make another token, and I have a Lava Dart in the graveyard. This means my opponent is forced to block with Ral, and forcing them to block with Ral in this situation wins me the game. So they are out of possibilities next turn. They don't have Ral on the field, which means they can't flip it, and their only chance in a situation like this was to flip Ral. So I play Lava Dart, take them down 2-1, and kill the Ral and put myself into basically unlosable situation thanks to Faithless Looting. That is why I really like it. Okay, so the problem with Looting and Phoenix in this deck is that you sometimes you will have a Phoenix stuck in your hand. Sometimes you will have it stuck in your hand, but also Phoenix is castable for 4 mana, and there are a lot of situations where I won the game by hard casting the Phoenix. There's that. You have DRC, you can surveil it into the yard, You can also go through a lot of cards in your deck through the game, and just eventually finding the Faithless looting to discard it is very expected and reasonable thing to expect here. So of course, I think going with other threat than Phoenix is also like a pretty solid plan if you prefer that. Okay, so this is a decent hand, but I don't. It's a fast hand. It's aggressive, but I'm playing against a Storm, and I don't have any hate at the moment. So that's the problem. And I think the hand was kind of just too good to not keep, so I decided to risk it. I decided to keep and risk a bit. My opponent luckily does not have a cost reducer. Okay, so that happens when you're playing against a Storm. In some games, sometimes they don't have the cost reducer. Okay, so here I decide I have few options. First option is just play the Cori-Steel Cutter, but second option is go for Manamorphose and maybe find some better play, something better to do this turn. And here it is, it paid off. So I decided to go for Manamorphose first. Then I was able to Faithless looting my Phoenix into the yard, remove the land and the Phoenix. So go Bolt Face, return Phoenix. So this is turn 2. This is turn 2, and next turn I can go Cori-Steel Cutter plus Bolt Face, which makes my turn lethal. And even if they play Ral as a blocker, it's still super hard for them to survive. So not going for Manamorphose there was the key in this game. We can see my opponent only going for another Grand Result, and they are in just terrible situation. And I have everything I need to finish the game here. Okay, so I go for... Sorry, I have to go for Cori-Steel Cutter first. I go for Cori-Steel Cutter here to make another token, and I bolt them face, make another 2/2 token, and have more than enough for lethal, and my opponent concedes. I actually ended this league 4-1. Great showing from the deck. I can't remember what I lost to. I think, it was the Samwise combo. I had the interaction, I decided to tap out, and it was very early in the game and did not expect to lose. So, yeah, ended up losing that one. Okay, I accidentally quit my video, just a second. Okay, so that was game 1. Let's check game 2. Okay, so game 2, keeping one lander again, but I have Faithless looting, and I'm on the draw, which makes me look at 4 more cards before turn 2, so I decided to just go with it. I have a looting, I have 2 darts in my hand, which are okay to discard, good to have in the yard. Okay, my opponent is on Eldrazi, and that matchup was like insanely good for me, especially with this version playing Arclight Phoenixes. It just definitely felt amazing. So I decided to go for looting immediately here, and I have some. I was hoping to find Phoenix, of course. Always you're hoping to find Phoenix, but I discard 2 lava darts, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so just couple of lava darts in the graveyard. Nothing special. Opponent continues their ramp. Plays couple of talisman, and nothing special. I just continue. Just play the Cori-Steel Cutter, hope to double spell next turn, and that's it. Just play my game, play the solitaire game against Eldrazi. They will keep, I don't know, playing the Devourers or World Breakers, whatever. The biggest problem I find is when they play first and they turn 3 like Myco Spawn, kill your land, but These type of hands doesn't happen too often. Turn 3 Microspam kill your hand is actually insane, and so I don't expect that to happen that often. Here opponent goes for Kozilek's command on turn 2. My turn 2 they continue digging, finding the big spells. They have a bunch of mana. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana for Eldrazi's, 9 mana now for Eldrazi spells with Eldrazi Temple, or 8 for anything else. So they can already cast Ugin on turn 3, for example, and a lot of people said like Ugin is like 7 mana and it's hard for Eldrazi ramp to cast Ugin early, but you can see here in this situation the Eldrazi ramp deck now has turn 3, they have more than enough mana to cast Ugin. And but instead opponent goes for sowing Microspam here, kill my land. That's also pretty crazy. It's still turn 3. It's still just turn 3. So yeah. Okay, they go for Microspawn and find Boseiju Who Shelters. Is that the name? I think it is. Okay, so they kill my land and I go for Dragon Ray Channeler, pass the turn. Okay, opponent pays a lot of mana, and it was actually version playing Portent of Calamity, and it's still it's still turn 4 and they're playing the Portent for x equals 9. Doesn't get much crazier than that, and we can see opponent here playing the Eugene or whatever, killing my DRC, and I have to like quickly concede here. I go Spell Pierce, Blood Moon. I don't really need other cards, so yeah. Just cut couple of iterations, and yeah, that's no big brain for this one. Okay, so let's see how it went. Let's see how it went for game 2. Mulligan down to 6, and I keep this, seems like a pretty good 6. Okay, so in this situation, I don't think I need second looting. I think it's ideal to go like a Swiss Spear, Bubble on a turn 1, pretty aggressive, then turn 2, try to return the Phoenix. Play a bunch of spells, and I think that is the winning situation here. Okay, yeah, pretty aggressive. So attacking for 2 here on turn 2. Okay, so here is another looting for me here. So hoping to hit the land, I can discard, depending what I draw, I can discard the Dart and Phoenix, and so I did have a mana screw in few of these situations, which definitely tells me I should probably include the 17th land. I think I don't like 18 lands in this version with looting, but I think 17 could be the right number. As you can see, I put 2 Arclight Phoenix in hand. I have Bubble, I had looting, I had the natural draw, I have another looting in my hand. So that is a lot of digging, and I was really happy with the deck performance, but I think it could probably benefit from playing 17 land. I think 17 after some experience could be the right number. Okay, so I draw into Blood Moon here. I don't think at this point Blood Moon is necessary. Okay, so I'll discard. I discard Blood Moon. It's pretty late for it. Blood Moon is, I think, only good on curve here, and now I have spells to play, so I can go. I can go Bolt Face, flashback the Lava Dart, and bring back the Arclight Phoenixes, which are basically the lethal in this situation. So this would basically be like a turn 2 kill, but since I didn't draw land, it ended up being a turn 3 kill. We can see Arclight Phoenix is returning here. My opponent is tapped out, so there's just Nothing they can do here, and I attack for 10 damage, lethal damage in this situation. So got the turn 3 kill. It's very early, very hard for opponent to interact this early. So yeah. Okay, so I don't know what was that, but here it is, game 3 against Eldrazi. I start with Dragon Ray Channeler plus Bubble. Again, digging for land. But as soon as I draw a land in this situation, this hand is pretty strong. Doesn't get much better than this. Okay, so I go Mana Morphose here, and I find Cori-Steel Cutter on the top, but my hand is already, I have enough, I have a lot of threats, but I decide to still go with Cori-Steel Cutter. Keep it on top, and I think it's hard for my opponent to deal with Cori-Steel Cutter, and it will provide me with another token next turn. So it's kind of similar, as I don't get too much advantage by casting Swiss Spear instead of Cori here. Okay, so I think Cori in this situation will be a big problem for my opponent's deck. They can't Kozilek comment it, they can't exile the creature. What they can do is exile it with the trigger from the 7 mana Eldrazi or something like that. They were playing the blue variant, playing Stock Up, I think, and Portent of Calamity. I think that is pretty cool. Unexplored, I think Portent of Calamity is great in these Eldrazi decks. It's questionable at the moment if it's the best way to play Eldrazi, but I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. I think possibly a very strong version of deck, especially in some metas, because it is like one spell, Portent of Calamity, lot of situation, just draws a card. I had some ideas for it. Okay, I think it was best in this situation to go for Expressive and not to go for Monastery Swiss Spear here, because I have 2 mana and I don't want to cast Swiss Spear first. Because there's a good chance that I will find a land with Expressive Iteration, so I want to use the card I find. And yeah, so for this reason I went for Expressive first and deal 1 damage less with Swiss Spear. Okay, so I can now go for Mountain, play the Swiss Spear, make a Cori-Steel token, and attack for 6 damage. Pretty decent here on turn 3. If my opponent doesn't do something very meaningful, they are facing like super easy turn 4 kill. I can even kill them without attacking, so even if they kill all my creatures, I can kill them with just burn. And I'm making, even if they kill all my creatures, I have like a way to make another token with Cori-Steel Cutter. My opponent goes for Portent of Calamity, X equals 6. It's again pretty early in the game, turn 6, but they have a lot of mana here. This time they didn't hit nuts, they didn't hit something super crazy like Emrakul or whatever. They did hit Devourer here and put a lot of spells in there, put a lot of cards in their hand. But yeah, that wasn't good enough here. As I said, I can kill them just Burning Face, so I just went for the burn spells, even without attacks. Don't need anything else. Yeah, okay, so my opponent sees I have lethal and they concede, so that was it. That's a game against Eldrazi. So let's check out next one. Okay, so this one I didn't record game 3. But didn't record game 1 and 2, but we will go through game 3 here. And I will go through one more match after this, because this was just one game, not entire. So basically we go through 4 matches from this league. Okay, my opponent goes for Totsis in this situation and decides to take Expressive Iteration. I'm not sure what they are playing, but I played the Cori-Steel Cutter. I'm pretty happy with what they did. Next turn I can go, it's ideal land here, so I can go for a second Cori-Steel Cutter. This is ideal. So going for a second Cori-Steel Cutter, and now I can go Soul Guide Lantern. Trigger both of my Cori-Steel Cutters. I think opponent played a Bowmaster deck. And it was, I think, probably Dimir Murktide. Yeah, it was Dimir Murktide. So opponent plays a Bowmaster, chumps a creature there. Bowmaster is pretty embarrassing against Prowess. Okay, they do 1 damage when I play Consider, and but I have 4 Lava Dart, 4 Lightning Bolt. Some versions also play like Unholy Heat in the main, and you can play again around Bowmaster. And in fact, when you play the Consider and take 1 damage, it's so irrelevant against for Prowess that I think it just absolutely doesn't matter. So I'm gladly going to cast the Consider here, just look for my second spell, trigger both of my Coris, and just whatever. Okay, so I go for a Consider, I will trigger the Bowmaster, go land a yard, draw just another land, so I'm still looking for another spell. I will crack the Soul Guide Lantern here. Looking for a second spell to cast. I did find Consider, and there's still just not much this Bowmaster is accomplishing here. So I'm still making two. They did find a Nork Army token, of course, to block my creature, but it's kind of not that important for what I'm doing here. Just trying to pressure my opponent as much as possible, and Consider preparing me for next turn, so I can trigger the Phoenix again. I can trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter again, so I keep the Manamorphose on top. Manamorphose plays well next turn, so Manamorphose into Phoenix gives me 3 new attackers for next turn, so pretty hard for my opponent to deal with. I attack with everything. I want to just force their blocking as in the worst way possible for them. I let them kill a couple of my creatures. They have to discard 2 with Psychic Frog, that's fine. And my opponent goes to attack with Psychic Frog to draw another card, but they are down on 2 life and it's not looking good, so they will have to counter my Manamorphose or something like that to maybe stop me from double spelling. But opponent plays another Bowmaster and I will take another damage, but once again it's just not relevant. Okay, so I go for a double red, it doesn't matter. I play the Phoenix, which is another attacker through the air, and I can trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter, both of them, and I have 3 new attackers here to finish the game. So my opponent plays the Subtlety on my Phoenix, but it's still not enough. I only need another damage, so that is the game. I think we can now go to the last game here for this video. Strong starting hand, 3 Monastery Swiss Spears. That's the dream when you're playing. I think that is the dream when you're playing Prowess. There is just so many things that can that can let you win the game when you start like this with the 3 Swiss Spears. Obviously, one of the best starts for the deck. Okay, so I go Spiralbluff Canal, play all of my Swiss Spears now. Next turn I can go very nicely Expressive Iteration into probably Bolt something. Okay, my opponent starts with Urza Saga. I'm not sure what they're playing here. Oh yeah, it was actually a very fun brew. Not a brew, but it was very similar to deck from that I brewed a few weeks ago. Um, Probably some other people brewed it too, I don't know. But I was playing the deck with Frog and Monument to Endurance, and I had Asmo. I posted it on Twitter, but I didn't make a video. I think it was very. I had a lot of fun with that one, and Frog with Monument is really crazy. Okay, so I decided to take their Emery, bolt their Emery, and go in for 9 damage with 3 Swiss Spears. Super hard for my opponent to live through this, and I still have a lot of stuff to win on the next turn. But the Monument and the Frog is definitely strong combo. What deck was actually great. I was doing amazing with it. I got a lot of wins. I got a couple of 4-1 leagues with it. I didn't at the time. I didn't yet start recording the game, so I didn't make the video for it. I was hoping for the replays to come back, but that didn't happen. So a lot of food tokens here for my opponent. They can start killing my creatures for free. They can also jump if needed, but it's a pretty good situation anyways. Okay, I find a Cori-Steel Cutter. This is interesting. This gives me another line. Another line is like going a Cori-Steel Cutter first, make another attacker, then probably bolt the Asmo and try to win on this same turn. I don't want to let them make 2 more foods next turn and just kill more of my creatures for free. So I bolt Asmo, and they will probably be forced to block Chump with Emery as well. Okay, so my opponent in this situation, they can kill one of the Swift Spears, of course, with Asmo before Asmo dies. They have Emery, which they can use it to jump, but I have a lethal damage here, so they have to do something else. Also, if they don't have an answer here, they can't crack the fetch, which is obviously a big problem. Opponent plays Urza Saga here. They have mana from Ox Opal, so they have black mana there to play something if they have it. Okay, so I know they have 2 Overchairs Daredevil in hand, and unfortunately they have another Asmo. That is probably like the best thing they could have, and they use food token to gain 3 to be able to fetch 4 Swamp and play another cookbook, which gives them some chance here, but really not much. Really not much considering that I still have everything I need in my hand. Okay, so I go Mana Morphose first, then Expressive Iteration, and then just more and more spells here in this situation to just grow my all prowess creatures like for as a lethal attacker. And yeah, when they see I have another token and another mana open, they concede. That was the game. So got the win here very fast. I boarded in a couple of meltdowns. Meltdowns are great against these Asmo decks. And Soul Guide Lanterns great because they play Overchase Daredevil and cut some slower cards, and that's it. Okay, so this is, I think, again, pretty good hand. I have removal for Asmo, removal for Emery. Swift Spears, as you saw, are pretty good against them. Okay, they have the nuts in this game as well. They go turn 1 Mox Opal cookbook into Emery. I think the only difference from this list and the version I posted is I did not play the step through. I don't think that card is good enough here, but it finds Emery, it finds Asmo, and from what I saw, all other cards are same, so I'm not sure what their exact build is, but it's pretty similar to what I tried. I think a week ago or something like that. Okay, opponent goes for step through. I think wizard cycling for 2 mana to find Emery and Asmo. Sorry, is Asmo even a wizard? I know it's a human. I'm not sure. Okay, never mind. Emery, they find Emery and pass the turn. So this time I don't have a removal for second Emery. I think I want to cast both of my Swiss Spears here, even though I know my opponent can block jump one. But prepare best for the next turn when I can go Expressive Iteration into Consider or Lava Dart, Lava Bolt, try to find removal for Emery and clear the way for the blockers. Okay, opponent goes for Monument to Endurance. They have Cookbook on the field, they have Emery, so... Okay, Lava Dart lets me kill Emery, but I have to sacrifice a land. I first go for Expressive Iteration and see what happens with Iteration. I find Bolt, that is pretty good. All cards are good here. I want to keep all three, if possible. Cori-Steel Cutter, Bolt, Mishra Bubble, all options are amazing. So I go for Bolt and Bubble. Bolt obviously is the card I want most to kill Emery, and Bubble allows me to grow my Swiss Spears here immediately, try to grow them as big as possible and draw more cards I need from the top to continue pressuring them. Unfortunately, over Chaos Devil from the top, I think that's a pretty good top deck for them. Gives them two free like activations of Monument, and yeah, it's pretty good. So first time you discard Daredevil, you make a treasure token, and the Daredevil returns for free. Then if you have another cookbook, you can use it again with the same Daredevil, so you can twice a turn, and then draw a card, find an artifact, play artifact, and get the Daredevil back to hand. Pretty strong interaction. Here we can see opponent finding second cookbook and 3 mana. What is 3 mana? Another maybe monument? Yeah, I'm not sure what was 3 mana there. Yeah, I'm confused. Never mind. Okay. Oh yeah, then 3 mana was the sweeper. They killed the Swiss Spears. Okay, so okay, so I was looking for Faithless looting, but here I find Meltdown, which was pretty strong as well, killing all their food tokens, killing the Mox Opal and the double cookbook, which are enablers for their monument in this situation. That seemed great and makes their Overchase, their devil in hand, makes their monument dead. So pretty strong situation, a pretty strong play, and makes their situation a lot worse. But they got out of that again by drawing Frog. Frog with Overlord Daredevil is also just super sick, and it also my opponent I think didn't play it ideally. They should have, like, first time you always make a Thrasher and return Daredevil for free, then you go for a draw, then if you find an artifact you can go for 3 damage as well. And my opponent finding Psychic Frog in this situation was just kind of too good. Yeah. Okay, so I go for Consider. But my opponent was just doing too much value here with this Frog, and Frog is already so large, and my last hope was this Consider finding something which can help me kill them quickly. Okay, I go for obviously Channeler, and I can just go for the Soul Guide. Unfortunately, Daredevil is back in their hand. I can't use this Soul Guide to try to exile the Daredevil, but it is what it is. Okay, so opponent is hitting me with a frog and I can't jump, but it's a terrible situation. They can just drain me with monument in a couple of turns, and it seems like it seems pretty bad for me here. Opponent attacks with large frog, and I decided to give up on this one. So let's just fast forward this and go to game 3. Let's go to game 3 and see what happens. In game 3, I was able to win it. Fun games though. Okay. Okay, I start with Monastery Spear attacking again. And I have Cori-Steel Cutter, which I think is such a strong, very great, strong and great card for this matchup. Hard for opponent to deal with. If Asmo kills a token, I just make another one. It's very strong. Okay, so no bubble for me here to trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter immediately, but it's very typical strong hand. I have removals for both Asmo and Emery if they play it, and let's see what opponent does. Okay, so 2 mana goes for Frog, and this is a great situation for me to test their willingness to discard cards on Frog. So let's see what happens. So would you discard cards with Frog if I bolt it in this situation? So now I'm triggering the Cori-Steel Cutter. I'm getting another prowess trigger, and I'm now bolting my opponent's Frog. So if they discard 2 cards here, I can just bolt it again. So let's see what happens. I try to go for a bolt. My opponent maybe thinks I'm bluffing, so I think in most situation it's okay to go for the discard, depending on your hand, of course. If they have useless cards, I would definitely go for discard. If my hand is very strong, I would definitely maybe consider not going for it. Okay, but opponent has another frog. I think when you have another frog in this situation, I think I just let it die. It's just a too big risk discarding 2 good cards to just let your opponent bolt it again. Maybe I should have gone for Lava Dart first, actually. Make them discard their entire hand. That would be funny. Yeah, that would be funny, actually. I think I should maybe that was the better play. Okay, so I go for another land, and now question is, do I go for looting? I think it's best to go for looting immediately. Try to find phoenixes, but did not find phoenix. And this is what I was talking again last turn, like looting in the yards. It's so strong with Cori-Steel Cutter in situation like this where you dump your hand fast, and now I have looting in the yard, Lava Dart in hand, so I can trigger whatever I draw. I can trigger the Cori, whatever, it doesn't matter. And even with dumping sphere on their side on the field, I can still trigger it. So I go for, I can just keep a land in hand, put Lava Dart in the graveyard, and pay additional mana to resolve Lava Dart from the graveyard. Here I have to keep a land to resolve my second spell. So I shock in the Steam Vents and pay 1 mana to resolve the bubble. I trigger the Cori-Steel. Trigger the Cori-Steel Cutter, make another token, and that was a total of a 4-1 league. With this, I don't show anymore all 5 matches. I usually go with 3, but in this